That's not an alien. That's not an alien. That's not an alien. That's not an alien. Wombat's Bottom was hardly a steaming metropolis, replete with every mod con known to man. Its residents had experienced power blackouts before, but this was something altogether strange. Therefore, Dad and his family took it upon themselves to check the fuse box personally for defects. He led the way under the house, since he thought he had a little knowledge of such things. You know what they say about a little knowledge, don't you? He pulled out his toolkit and his multimeter, plus a pair of rubber gloves from the kitchen. This was to avoid electric shock. Presumably they weren't wet rubber gloves. He also mustered up his most instructive voice with authoritative overtones. Now, I'll show you how to fix a fuse for when the need arises. The rest of the family dutifully watched as he opened the fuse box and displayed the contents. The alien visitors weren't currently watching this demonstration. They were now approaching the house via the back door. They weren't wearing balaclavas and carrying weapons, so this was more of an exploratory mission than a break and enter one. The Red Leader led the way, as usual, with his trusty megaphone in hand, but didn't feel the need to be shouting this time. Blah 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 blah, blip, blip. Well, I say trusty more for the sake of it. Dad knew nothing of these intruders in his beloved house as he ramped up his explain mode. Now, I'm turning off the mains power because I don't know what is going on with the electricity. He pointed at the kids to emphasise his point. So I'm not taking any chances. Todd and his sister nodded at this caution, almost daunted by the prospect of electricity. Oh, okay. His authoritative overtones took on warnings of dire consequences. Remember also to turn off all appliances before messing with the power. When you turn the power back on, it won't damage anything. Todd, the youngest, was duly confused by this. He was only 10, so he had an excuse. He had, however, read all about electricity in school. All, or not enough. But Dad, how would it damage anything, just by turning the power back on? His father was rather stumped. Maybe he should have studied it in school too. He wasn't expecting questions like this, especially not from a 10-year-old. He struggled to maintain his authority. I'm not sure, son. He came clean with his attempted authority. I'm only going by what I read on the back of an Oaty Puff packet. Joanne was unimpressed by his serial credentials. William, let's call an electrician, shall we? He put up a dismissive or defiant hand. No, dear, I'm the head of this household, and I say we need to learn to be self-sufficient. He ignored his wife and daughter, rolling their eyes at this assertion, but did pause to grudgingly concede part of their arguments. And besides, Gary is busy with Mrs. Kapup's deep freeze. His daughter was even less convinced of his credentials, but Todd was simply intrigued. With that explanation ringing in their ears, William turned the power switch off. Inside the kitchen of the Zintner family, they were under attack from a big furry mystery. The hum of the deep freeze died suddenly, indicating the loss of power. Just at that moment, the alien tour party entered the kitchen. They were beginning the human habitation part of their global tour. This was to be one of the highlights of the trip to Earth, and all were looking forward to it. The Red Leader was not a seasoned habitator of human households. It had seen the kitchen with its multiplicity of appliances and PowerPoints, presumably on Alien Home and Garden or some such program. Blah 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 blah, blip blip. Whatever experience or training it had, it decided that the kitchen was the best place to start the examination of the latest in human technology. It led them across the linoleum flooring and gave them a brief rundown of the wonders of the modern Australian kitchen. Or the depth to which a technological society could slide into stagnation. It was hard to tell. Blah 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 blah. Then it let them run free for some hands-on experience of all the appliances. They tried the toaster, but unfortunately it didn't work. Putting a butter knife inside the slot on the top didn't help, nor did sticking a pudgy blue hand in either. Then they tried the microwave. Nothing. It looked like an impressive device, even from the inside, but it was apparently defective, like the toaster. As was the carving knife as well, it seemed, despite wielding it like a lightsaber for the amusement of the children. Ha ha! Ooh! The blue alien child in attendance could only wave a dismissive hand and roll its eyes. My, what a lot of faulty equipment. The owners should have returned the goods to the store at once and gotten their money back. What about the blender? Lifeless. A cute blue one put its hand in to try and push start the blades. The leader spotted this and became annoyed. It told the cute one off in no uncertain terms for being careless. Blah blah blah! Actually, I'm uncertain what terms it did use, but the meaning was explicitly implicit. Without subtitles, it was still too difficult to tell and too easy to speculate. Don't blame me, I'm just the narrator. Perhaps the author just wants to maintain an air of mystery, or a thick fog of confusion. He might not have been admonishing, actually, as he quickly handed his blueness a carrot. This was duly used to spin the blades around with ease. Still, it wasn't the same as them spinning by themselves. This splattered their faces with disappointment. The brown blob with eyes reported with disappointment that not only did the light in the fridge go off when you shut the door, it stayed off when you opened it. Blah 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 blah. If the tall green one had felt the urge, or the need to lick everything nailed down, and suck everything not nailed down, it managed to restrain itself. Maybe his redness had had a word with it, or a subtle hand gesture. It might even have given him an admonishing poke in the eye with a stick. The green one kept his tongue firmly in its mouth. Or was it firmly in its cheek? Unfortunately for the aliens, they had landed near a small country town and broken into an ordinary farmhouse. If they had touched down on the roof of an apartment building full of hipster business executives, they would have found themselves slap bang in the middle of techno paradise. The busy executive was always on the go with no time to waste on fiddly cooking. They had all sorts of time and labour-saving devices. Electric can openers, knife sharpeners, and patented eggshellers were just the start of their culinary arsenal. The aliens might have hoped to find a prime example of the elusive Nifty Max 3-speed electric lettuce spinner. They were few and far between in Wombat's Bottom. They might have been prevalent in Turak or Vaucluse though. These people were obviously less technically advanced than their city-dwelling equivalents. This may even have been one of those third world countries they may have heard so much about. The aliens were sorely disappointed. It wasn't even worth licking. The Red Leader received some sceptical looks when it suggested trying the appliances in another room. Blah 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 blah. What choice did they have? The kitchen was an absolute bummer. If they had travelled all across the galaxy to show the latest gadgets in all their glory, then perhaps Venus would have been a better option. Hopefully the bathroom would be more exciting. Bathrooms usually were. Why not subscribe to youtube.com/ScuddyArk and live happily ever after in your dreams.